Well, good evening again. It's been a bit. We had a bit of a break. We also had our senior recognition, which was pretty cool.
Yes.
And today is December 4. This is our 31st. We didn't actually do one during Thanksgiving. PJ was traveling, and I was here. And if you want to say anything about that or not, but here we are.
Yeah, so it's it was a tough experience with Thanksgiving. And my wife Amy lost her sister. She passed away, and so went there to Nebraska for that. And it was fun to gather around for family, and that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight is family. But yeah, it's nice to be back, and can't believe we're in December already.
It's like nuts to me. It's like, wasn't it just the summer? I mean,
Well, it's weird because at some points it seems so compacted, and yet sometimes it seems so long too.
That's true. That's true.
We're almost done with 2020.
I know. Yeah, it's like, woo! Never thought it would end, and yet it's not done. But it's like, wow! It really, the year is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the start of this, we have a few weeks left, and you kind of, what else could happen, right? But as we come into this season, which is just such an awesome favorite time of year.
It really is, yeah.
We have much not just to be sandwiched between giving grace and thanks for, and the gift that we get ourselves, but just a chance to sort of catch our breath and remember. And in this story, that's what it's about, right?
Exactly. We've been talking about the snapshots of Jesus, little nuggets in the Bible that they're just kind of tucked in there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really respond to, Dag, is the idea that the worth or value that Jesus puts on people.
Yeah.
And especially those where the world kind of says you're not.
You're not. Right.
You're not part of us. You're not of worth. And also the other thing that I've really and we've talked about this quite a few times over the last number of weeks we've done this, is the family connections and how the impact that affirmities, struggles impact the family. And I think I saw it very clearly just recently. And you and I connected before I left, on this idea that it's a sister-in-law, but it's my wife's sister, and the family that's impacted. Just that loss and how that feels, and it was a glorious experience just to remember that God is in charge, and God does this, He does that again in the story.
He's not just interested in the person He's healing, touching, talking to.
Yes.
But He's about restoring the whole person, which means their family and their connection to the community. Sometimes it's make sure that you go and sell yourself to the priest. And sometimes it's a little girl, don't forget to feed her, right?
Yes.
And all those little kind of details that God is concerned about the now and the person, but He's also concerned about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the reason we love these little snapshots is because we're so used to the big pictures. I call them the Mount Rushmore.
Right.
You put on the mantle, it's like, this shows God, but also in the little tiny details, God shows up.
Well, this story, and we're going to Mark.
Okay.
We're going to take it off into Mark. And this story is powerful, the recognition. And Jesus, you teach every day. You spend time, and one of the things that I know about you, and I've heard you talk about, you love the dialogue you can have with your students.
Yeah.
You talked about this is about a couple months ago, I think, but you talked about in the remote learning, the discussion boards that you've been able to have, and some of the thoughts that have come out from there.
These kids, it's been some super, super cool stuff, back and forth, and almost, I won't say almost, I will say more in-depth conversations than we could have in a classroom where you might have one person who might be overshadowing others, and everybody pitching in on the boards, and then the ability to come back to an idea and respond back to this, that, and the other. It's been just so cool to see.
Well, it's kind of the same kind of story where Jesus is really kind of recognizes the answer that is given in the story. So we're in Mark, chapter 7.
Okay.
Yep. And I want you to, as you read verse 24 and 25, just give us a little historical idea. I'll go all the way to 26 about what the situation was geographically or culturally for this situation.
Okay. Well, a couple things to start with is the Jews had at this time of Jesus, they had kind of a hierarchy of structure, a caste system, if you will.
Okay.
So, you would have the faithful, religious Pharisees and Sadducees, and anybody of that kind of class or elite, the priests, the Levites, would be sort of at the top. And, you go down and you would have, still in there, begrudgingly, might be sort of the outcast of society, we would call, let's say the lepers or the tax collectors.
Okay.
But that's still in their okay society.
Because they're part of that.
Because they're part of the children, although not exactly, they're the distant relative of Abraham or Sarah, right? But that still trumps being then a non, like a Gentile, a pagan, somebody who's a Roman, or just, not Jewish blood. It's like, what do you...
Right.
You're not even in the conversation. It's like, we're all in the game. You guys are outside of the park. And what would often be worse would be in the Samaritans, who were of mixed breed, because they viewed them as sellouts, or they viewed them as half-breeds. And so they were even lower.
Okay. So we're going to dive into this story. So we're reading, if you have your digital, or if you have a hard copy of the Bible, we're in Mark and King James, in the, I was looking at the American Standard Bible, but 24 of chapter 7 of Mark, verse 24, 25, 26. Here we go.
All right. And from there, he, speaking of Jesus, arose. He went to the borders of Tyre and Sidon, which were notorious for kind of a party sort of life. In fact, he mentions them later as a contrast. I should have, I guess, mentioned that, is because his last pronunciations against Jerusalem is like, if the works that I did in Tyre and Sidon, or the works I did here in Jerusalem, would have been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented. So these are the bad people.
Right.
But he goes to that area, Tyre and Sidon. And he entered into a house, and he would have nobody know. Apparently, he just kind of wanted to chill, just kind of
be quiet, yeah.
But he could not be hid. I underline that in mind. Like, I love it, because you can't hide Jesus. He
right.
cannot be hid. For a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard him, she came and fell at his feet. Now, the woman was a Greek or a Gentile, someone who's not a Jewish, Syrophoenician, by heritage or name or ethnicity, by nation, and she besought him or asked him that he would cast the devil out of her daughter. The demon-possessed daughter, she wants to be alleviated.
Well, let me take you into the drama side of this. So, we were casting this. Yep. We were putting there's a table on stage, and there's a doorway over here. Yeah. Jesus quietly, maybe he has got something wrapped on his head.
Yeah, okay.
Sits down quietly. Maybe whoever's there, begins to serve him. Word gets out. He tries to hide himself. He pointed that out to us. Word gets out. And when I want you to see this, and so immediately, and if you see for a moment, the idea that in the door with just a quick blur, yeah, exactly.
Runs in.
Yeah, and dives to the feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, so she's down there, and I
almost... Before anybody can see, grab
her, move her out, she kind of gets there fast. And then it says, did you notice here it says, and she kept asking him.
Oh, no, I missed that.
So that's in verse 26. She kept asking, and I almost visioned this idea, Jesus, please heal my daughter. Jesus, please heal my daughter. Jesus, please heal my daughter. Trying to get all the words out before anyone could grab her
and take her out.
Getting the whole point.
No, well, that must be that, because King James says besought, but I'll put a link in there about the Greek word and kind of meaning, because I'm sure that must be what the besought must have that sense of repetitive, and so it's a desperate yearning, clinging to. That's interesting. Wow, that's cool.
Now, this is the second snapshot story that we've talked about with demons.
Yes.
We had a father and a son. Now we have a mother and a daughter.
Yes.
And she says, so what really captures me about this, and you listening there, is the value of family. That, again, we talked about this, when someone's impacted, it impacts everybody. It involves everybody sometimes. And so she comes and it says, so now, so she's begging for this. Now Jesus responds, and wow, Jesus' response is very Jewish.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to take at face value.
Right, yeah. So read that for us.
We can tell. Okay, but Jesus said to her, well, the children need to eat first, for it's not right to take the children's food and give it to dogs.
Now, do you remember what Doug told us earlier this evening? And this is why I said it's very Jewish. They had this caste system, as it were, and so the people at the top, their children, they might even eat before the other people.
Yeah.
The kind of the side bystander, he said. And so it says, Jesus said, because that's what they were taught. They thought they were better. It says, well, the children need to eat first, and you can't take their bread and throw it to the dogs. Now, imagine what it's like for that woman to hear the association of how society is, how she's experienced it.
Yeah.
And what I love about this story is Jesus is not going to leave it there. I wonder if those words were even tough coming out of his mouth.
Yes, because those are not his words.
Right.
I mean, yes, they're his words, but that's not Jesus, how he portrays himself.
Correct.
It's the only time we see this in Scripture, so we know it's not how he is.
Correct.
And what amazes me is her response goes with everything she's heard about Jesus, not what she's just heard.
Right. Now, this next part gives me goosebumps.
Yes.
This next part, I want you to see the alliteration of this part. Do you remember where she went when she dove into the window or the doorway?
Oh, wow.
Where is she?
Wow. I so totally missed that until you just said that. Visually, that's so cool.
She's at Jesus' feet.
Under the table.
Under the table. Isn't that amazing?
Wow. Or even if it's not actually under, it would be under the level of.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
so, oh, wow. That is so cool.
Isn't that amazing?
That is so cool.
And then she says these words. And go ahead and read it for us.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead and read it for us.
And she answered and said, Yes, Lord, that's true. But even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs.
What struck me about the positioning, that was just amazing when I saw that.
Wow.
But what is the other thing that struck me is that she is okay identifying herself in that position.
Yeah, she's got. I wrote a note in my Bible from an earlier sermon I did on this, and I've always struggled with definitions of faith. I have a friend who faith is everything to him, and what I mean by that is like that's his answer. Like people say, how are you happy? Well, just have faith, just have faith, and it kind of annoys me because I'm like simplistic, and I don't understand what that means, right? You just trust the thing. And then I came across a woman who really struggled. She had difficult life. I'm not going to go through everything, but she wrote, and this made a lot of sense to me. She said, "Faith is bringing into the darkness what you know to be true in the light." And so, the reason I it must have struck me is I wrote faith. She's appealing to what she knows of His mercy. In other words, she's like, I don't. You just kind of blustered past me, but I know everything I've heard about you is you're the kind of person who would care and have compassion.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to let what I see right now distract me from what I know about you. And that's an illustration of what I know in the light. Take it into the darkness to hold that truth. It's like, God, I don't see right now what's going on. God, I don't know why I don't have the money to pay the bills, or I don't know how come so-and-so passed away. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in a dark place. But taking into the darkness that light that says, but I know you did this in the past. I know you provided in the past. I know, as Psalms writes, the precious in the sight is the death of His saints. Right? I know that's what you feel and hurt, and I know you wept at Lazarus' tomb, so I know you weep with me. And it's taking that, even if you don't feel it, that light into this darkness, and that is what I think she was clinging to.
Oh, I think so. And what I also kind of captured in the story is that it doesn't get deep into, he almost sometimes he takes time.
Yeah.
Sometimes he takes time to kind of really interact, but he doesn't want to put her in any more distress.
He instantly, and in fact, he doesn't have to go with her. She doesn't. He takes care of it right then. He's like, on that, done.
Right. And what I love is says, because of this answer, and I was thinking about the message boards you have.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things that just come through, like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because his answer, go your way, your daughter, the demon has gone out of your daughter.
Yep. Instantly. I mean, it's like, that's the Jesus we know.
And the story she tells,
Mm-hmm.
the ability, she says, and what I think to myself, and this is where I want to leave tonight, our takeaway tonight, is that she looks to the people around, maybe the caregivers, maybe the neighbors, maybe the family members gathered, trying to figure out, maybe the doctors or nurses, people trying to help. She says, I found out tonight that I'm someone of worth.
Yeah.
That I'm valued.
I will never read this story again without seeing the under the table. Because this is one of the, for me, this is one of the, I have to admit, this is a story I would not have touched. Because
really?
This is one that's always sort of makes me uncomfortable, because I'm like, oh, I don't like to hear those words come out of Jesus. And like I said, I have to hear them in a certain way. And certainly Ellen White smooths that out and says, he's trying to illustrate something. But that is just so cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I hope maybe you already knew that, or maybe you already thought that, but maybe you learned something new, and maybe you can take that extra little picture of God's goodness and God's grace with you. Because I firmly believe that it's the difference between being lost and saved is understanding how good God is. That's really it. It's a doubt of God's goodness that leads to sin. It's when we don't see Him as He really is.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's what a little bit of the scales fell from your eyes, or our eyes fell from my eyes, and maybe you can get that sort of blessing. And we hope the rest of your Sabbath is good. Tune in next week. We're going to have a look in Matthew, an interesting passage, little kind of thing that's going to come back with who are you going to choose as we come into this Christmas season. Again, thank you for being with us, Sundown Surmisings. You can get a hold of us at principal@MontereyBayAcademy.org or dgregory@MontereyBayAcademy.org. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.